is a workflow over here. This is an app. This is consulting. To me, it's all the same thing. It's just a
Yep.
solution to get them from A to B. It just
Hmm.
so happens to be the tool that gets them there. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah. It's
And
just a
and
vehicle.
that's it's a vehicle.
So far, I'm what I'm hearing, Doc, is that you help these two brands to do their business in a smarter way. But what I'm not hearing right now is how you have helped their branding and how you have helped them come up with a flagship product. And if you didn't do it for these two brands, and if you've done it for all of your other clients, can you tell us a bit more about that one?
Yeah, yeah. So I can't tell you the AppSumo one that's about to come out, but
Sure,
I will
no
just let
worries.
you know that it's going to be a signature product. I cannot tell you, but that is going to be easily a 7 to 8 figure product coming out.
Wow.
That's all I can say. So
And you
yes,
helped
I
with that.
cannot
You
wait.
helped with that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so we'll get that one for Vayner. That one actually it's in two different ways. So the way I view signature products is number one is either giving you the reach that you want to be perceived with, so that
Mhm.
signature product everyone knows something about you, and so it becomes your like that lamp everyone knows you. Or the other side is it makes you the most money in your business.
Mm.
That's like the stair steps of all the products to get to your signature product that either becomes that gateway or it's the most expensive in your repertoire. For Vayner, podcasting and live streaming to get people to understand that is, think about this. The reason most people know Gary is because he created multiple show formats. The Ask Gary V show is a show format that he then just micro content, buy it. Now, a lot of the people from Vayner Sports and other entities like Sasha Group, people want to have that same experience. And tons of times people say, I want a podcast. And how many times do you hear people say, well, just make a podcast, do all these things?
Yeah.
And you know this better than most, right? How many people actually, out of the people that say, like, oh, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for like 3 years,
Yeah.
and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right?
true.
It's like either them actually understanding how to do it, having someone keeping them accountable,
Hmm.
what's going on with those. So creating the Gary V content model 2.0, giving it to smaller businesses that aren't Fortune 500 that can work with VaynerMedia and giving them a clear solution of how they can do that.
Hmm.
That's what we did for the 4Ds alumni for VaynerMedia. There is no excuse because listen, to work with the entry level of VaynerMedia, entry level is 30K a month.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when there's a big difference, even some that are like, I just crossed 7 figures a year, they can't afford, for the most part, 30K a month to be doing marketing.
Right.
But if they understood how they could structure their content in a way for them to make more money, to become more prolific, then they can work with Sasha Group, then they can work with VaynerMedia. Now we're changing the game. So creating that workflow for podcasting, I'll put it this way. Although our name is not attached and they say this is Doc Williams and Brand Factory under VaynerMedia, before we show that workflow for podcast creation and live streaming for their clients, it didn't exist for that company.
Right. Right.
So for us, that's our stamp working there. Now,
Mhm.
that one is right over there, but I can give you an example. My favorite one, another signature product we did for a client, if you want to hear.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Shoot.
So we worked with a sports agent that represented a lot of high profile NFL, so American football, and she she just had tons of clients. One of the premier running backs from the NFL, and she was an agent, and she's like, listen, the thing that I'm trying to solve is I have to manage all of these athletes, and I've got to be on the phone all day. I'm trying to manage their contracts. I wish there was an app where they could go on, just like Instagram, search
Hmm.
for opportunities, sign up, and they could actually then make their own negotiations with the brands directly.
Yeah.
And I could manage them. I could onboard other brands on the platform. I could manage my athletes. And basically, I would be the holder and manager of all these things, but I would cut out the middleman. And
Yeah.
so we made that app for her.
Hmm.
And that totally changed her business right there. So a lot of times the signature product, it looks, or signature service, it looks very different client to client. It's just getting them, what do they want to stand out for, and how do they want to move with their business? Like, how do they want to operate? And then we build that signature product for them.
Hmm. Hmm. So you built that app for her. You had to develop it, code it, design it, everything, quality assurance. Wow. So that is the first time that I'm hearing that you actually, created an application. So for VaynerMedia, it's a workflow. For AppSumo, it's more of helping them to know which apps are good, which apps are not so good, and hearing it from a consultant rather than a direct hire. That's a lot of
Exactly right.
stuff you're doing, Doc. That's a lot of stuff. So take us through the process. How do you identify what the brand of a certain brand is, or what the flagship product, supposed flagship product of a supposed brand or company is? And are most of your clients, when you start with them, are they mostly lost in a fog so that they don't have a signature product yet?
For the most part, yes. But I mean, it really starts with, I just want to know what your audience cares about. I find that so many brands, they've already got in the back of their mind what their product should be. And they're like, we're just going to run with it. And I'm just like, okay, so did you ask anyone? Like, where's your user testing, or where is this? And have very few can back up where they get their user data, because I feel like a lot of brands, and this is me included, it's really hard to get a reality check because you're usually too close to your product or your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just comes to, okay, first of all, what are you trying to do with your company? Are you trying to scale? Are you trying to make a certain amount of money? Okay, that's cool. And then number two is like, what does your audience really want? And I know that sounds like so basic, but
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many times I will say, like, okay, can you prove that? And they can't bring user data that aligns with, they are saying this in
Mm-hmm.
product reviews, and you are building what they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it starts. That's where it starts. And another thing too, you know, I'll go back to the podcast analogy. So many times, I mean, it's me too. Like, you see it. And although it seems like I'm all over the place with different business things, like shiny object syndrome is so real, especially for businesses. And so a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, we've got to develop an app." Like, you know how
Mm-hmm.
many times I hear like, "Oh, we need an app," and I'm like, "So what are
Yeah.
you gonna do with it?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"You could have done that with a chatbot. You don't need an app for that." Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people they fall in love with, this is what they're doing in the industry. And I just want to say, like, hey, I don't want to think about like technology, like, where are you here and how can I get it here? And that's why it looks so different. Like, this is a workflow over here, this is an app, this is consulting. To me, it's all the same thing. It's just a
Yeah.
solution to get them from A to B. It just
Mm-hmm.
so happens to be the tool that gets them there. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah. It's
and
just a
and
vehicle.
that's it's a vehicle. So hopefully I answered your question, but it's observation. It's
Yeah.
observation. That's it.
So what I got from what you said is more of about listening to their audience, observing the audience and getting a hold of that data. I'm not sure where you get that data, but I'm imagining you're probably getting it from analytics dashboards of their Instagram or social media platforms, or their Google Analytics as well.
For the
So
most part, yes. For the most part.
cool. So getting a hold of that data and then just breaking it down, analyzing how they can serve this audience with what they currently have, and then going for that. Is that right? Is that accurate?
For the most part, yes. It helps me. It helps informing the decision. And then I like to do mini tests where it's called like an MVF. It's a minimal viable funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to, in real time, I ask one of the clients or a salesperson, I ask them to have a real conversation and try to sell whatever they're trying to do in real time and try to get them to sell it. And if the person says no, I want to know why. Like, just keep asking them why. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this can work for anything, but I want real conversation because usually what I find is how they talked in a real conversation is very different than what's on their website.
Right.
And so I need to have natural language to see if this is going to work.
Right. So you have it recorded and you listen to it again. MVF, minimum viable funnel. That's the first time I'm hearing it. Is it an invention, Doc?
No, I wish. I know Ty. So there's this company called marketplan.io, and
Mhm.
I think Ty created it. It's the first time I ever heard it. And I credit him because I use it all the time. But like, that's the biggest thing with my students and other marketers. Like, they want these huge funnels. And I'm like, I want to see how fast you can sell something. And not in a
Mhm.
sales conversation, like, I want you to message 5 people, like 5 of your friends that need this. And I want you to
Mhm.
have a real conversation and see if you can sell it in that conversation. And
Mhm.
if you can't, explain to me what went wrong.
Mhm.
Is it because they didn't value it? Because you didn't say the right words? Like,
Mhm.
and that's what I do with every single company. Like,
Mhm.
like, for example, I mean, this is no secret. I mean, I talked to AppSumo about this. They asked me
Mhm.
like, "What could we do better last year?" And I told them, I was like, "Listen, I think you have too many deals. I think you're promoting too many, and I feel like people are getting paralyzed."
Mhm.
Guess what? That was the main critique of 2019.
Really
Because
interesting.
think about this. I mean, because Apple, look at their website. They're making less choices. Look at Apple's website versus Dell. When you get too
Yeah.
many choices, people don't convert. And
Yeah.
so, but how many times did it take? How do they find out? Well, after they listened to people for months and months, but it was like, it was every conversation I heard, people were like, I can't tell the difference. I have this product that looks like this product, this logo that looks like this logo.
Yeah.
It seems like it does the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes it's just really hard to know if
Mhm.
you're working day in and day out, you don't see those things. So when
Yeah.
we're with brands, it's usually cloudy because they think they know what they're doing. I
Mhm.
think sometimes I know what I'm doing, but I that's why I hire consultants all the time to do evaluations on our business because
Yep.
it's really hard. It's really easy to lose sight of it very quickly.
We get blindsided, right? Because we fall in love too much with our product, with whatever it is we're doing. We are creatures of routine as well, and we're used to doing this. And sometimes we don't even know why we're doing it anymore, but we're just used to doing it. So why change it? Why fix what's not broken? But in reality, it is a little bit broken, right? So AppSumo, you mentioned that they have disintegrated into giving out too many products. That's very interesting, and it is a very valid argument that people do get paralyzed. If I go to a restaurant and the menu is just so, there's so many things in the menu, I also get paralyzed and I don't really know what to order, and that's pretty much for everyone, right? So
I agree. I agree.
Doc, thank you so much for this time. I learned a lot. Minimum viable funnel. I'm definitely gonna look that up. And since I'm also launching an online course this May, I am going to try it out. I'm going to call a couple of friends of mine and see if they're gonna actually buy it at the certain price that I'm thinking about. Now, Doc, what is it that you're working on that you're excited about? Maybe you can share it to our audience, and where can they find you? What's your Spotify podcast title? Maybe they can look you up and follow you there.
Yeah. So what I'm excited about, and thank you for having me. I'm excited about this project. It's called Build with Me. So this came out of being in lockdown and quarantine. Well, just shelter in place. What's going on with COVID? So I started just using AppSumo deals mainly, but I use one tool to build 3 businesses every single night. So I said, if I can do this for 40 days straight, I'm just going to see it as a challenge, but I can help a lot of people. I'm going to give away all the information for free. And if
Mhm.
anyone wants to stream or be online with me at the same time, let's do it. So
Mhm.
started that project. I think I'm on episode 38. So I've been doing it 38 days straight. So I'm really super
Wow.
excited about that. And, that has opened up a lot of interesting opportunities with our business just by doing that in streaming. And, anyone can find me on Spotify and Stitcher and all that stuff. It's the Doc Williams podcast.
Mhm.
And then also, if they go to YouTube, they'll see the show Build With Me, or go to Build With Doc, Build With DOC Doc. So
Mhm.
buildwithdoc.com, and they'll get all of the different episodes. You can watch it. You don't have to opt in. You can watch all 40 episodes right there, and
Fantastic.
we'll see what goes on.
No funnel, huh? Just watch it straight up.
Yeah. Well, listen, when this no funnel, bro, it is insane because I build like 2.5 hours of video. I'm getting a retention time of people watching on average an hour and 7 minutes each video.
Wow. That's huge. That's a
It's
big
insane.
deal.
I
That's
never would have
amazing.
thought it. And I was like, and I'm building the website on Notion.
That's amazing.
Notion. So I was like, it was everything that I don't do. I always build in WordPress. I always have
Yeah.
all of these opt-ins. I'm like, I'm just going to put this up and see what happens.
Yeah.
I would never have imagined that it went this way. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Fantastic, Doc. So, are you on Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter?
So you'll see me on Twitter. It's underscore Doc Williams, all one. So underscore DOC Williams. On Instagram, I'm there. You'll see some of our profiles of like the clients we work with. I'm never
Mhm.
really on IG. My clients are on IG, so I have to be
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
But like,
Yeah.
I always talk to people on Twitter. Twitter
Yeah.
is my main platform.
Mhm.
Facebook, I only have to manage clients and their accounts on Facebook. So if
Mhm.
anyone needs me, I'm just on Twitter. I'll answer any question.
Fantastic, Doc. Thank you so much for being here. We are better for it.
Thank you so much for having me.
But I think there's never a perfect time,
Yeah.
'di ba? The perfect time is now. You just have to start doing it.
Let's talk about your journey, no?
Mhm.
IIPI. When did you know that it's time to rent an office?
Again, we started. I mean, I started in the conference room of
Mm.
my dad's office, conference table. That's yun lang muna. I did not rent.
Yeah.
But then after few projects, I think after 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years, we were able to purchase an office beside my dad's office
Right.
also.
Right.
So, kasi yan again, my dad said, if you rent,
Yeah.
it's just
Expense.
an
Burning
expense,
money. Yeah.
burning money, rather than investing na diretso,
Yeah.
and then you won't have additional expense.
We're hoping kami to buy a lot to
Oh,
build a bit.
yeah.
Pero it's big investment. So cash flow
Well,
din
I
eh.
started with a small office lang kasi.
Oh
Just
yeah.
our office now.
Yeah.
Because mostly our employees, unlike yours,
Yeah.
we're normally in the site,
Right.
di ba?
Right. Right.
Kasi kayo, you need to be in the office to do,
Oh yeah. Yeah. We need the office with the fast
right?
internet,
That's why I think
aircon.
it's easier for us to purchase a small office rather
Yeah.
than kasi kayo ang laki ng
Oh
office
yeah.
ninyo.
Ano talaga kami, manpower eh, no?
Right, right.
This office that you purchased,
Yeah.
how far into the business were you when you did the purchase?
Maybe about 6 years.
6 years into the business. Since you registered
Oh,
it
no, sorry, 6 years ago. So about
6
4
years ago.
years. First year, I was still in college.
Yeah.
Second year, third year, I was still in our conference table.
Right.
And then on the fourth year.
Fourth year.
Yeah.
Bilis ha?
Medyo mabilis.
Galing, galing, galing. Now, I'm sure people are interested about, like, feeling ko kung ako yung nakikinig, ang isipin ko, okay, nasa college pa siya nun.
Mm.
So, anong ginagawa niya from college? What was the business doing? What was the business selling? How was it making money?
We were looking for our identity nga in the
Mm.
start. So I started with different kinds of businesses. Yun nga, I mentioned to you earlier, CCTV,
Yeah.
and then there were equipments that my dad was telling me to sell, so I was selling it also. Services,
Yeah.
maintenance, and then I had a hard time because we didn't have para kaming sari-sari store.
Oo, yeah, yeah.
'Di ba? Wala kaming isang product or isang service.
Nakilala kayo.
Kilala kami. Yung an opportunity came,
Mm.
and then there was a requirement for flooring systems
Right.
for the plant.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what it was. So my dad told me, research mo, hanapin mo, i-google mo.
Yeah.
Ganyan, yan ang
Oo,
term
yeah.
ng mga
Google mo.
medyo ano, i-internet mo, sabi niya. So yun, I found a supplier. I went straight to Thailand.
Yeah.
I talked to the manufacturer and I said, I want to partner with you.
Oo.
Then I brought the products here.
Yeah.
And then that's where it started.
When you brought the products here, you had to purchase it. You
Yeah.
had to ship it here,
Yeah.
customs, lahat. Did you have to loan money to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So you risked that capital.
Yes.
Pero
But
meron ka ng
it was loaning to my to my father.
dear fund. Tsaka
Okay.
meron ka ng demand.
May
Nandun na eh,
demand
alam
na.
mo na eh.
Oo,
May project na eh.
meron na.
It's interesting, because a lot of entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs pa lang, they first zero in on an idea or a
Right.
concept.
Right.
Sa'yo, baliktad. Wala
Mm.
kang idea, wala kang
Wala.
concept.
It was a
Start ka na ng
requirement eh.
business.
It was a requirement. Sabi, ito yung requirement ng company.
Yeah.
So I was looking for the product. Ayun.
What
So
made you
happened.
decide that that was it? This is who we're gonna be.
It was because of the volume that was coming in at first, siguro.
Mm.
Our first client was Nestle Philippines.
Yeah.
So it's a big
That's
company
big.
right
Yeah.
away.
That's big.
No, we did about 8,000 square meters of flooring.
Uh-huh.
We started with polished concrete
Yeah.
back then, and then another requirement from Pepsi Cola,
Uh-huh.
specialty flooring din, the polyurethane floorings.
Yeah.
So tuloy-tuloy yun until na-realize ko we were already 3 years
Yeah. Doing it.
into the flooring business. So sabi ko, this is actually good. I can make this
Right.
big.
How did you get those clients at first?
Okay, since our family business concentrates on food and beverage
Mhm.
manufacturers.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I started.
Mm.
I would always just go with them, and
Yeah.
then see the requirement. I would
Yeah.
present, then I would propose our product, and
Yeah.
then okay naman.
It's very interesting to know that what you did
Mhm.
to learn the ropes, grow your business, and start up actually was to just hang out with your dad.
Yeah.
And his meetings and
Yeah.
mentorship,
Actually,
no?
yeah, mentorship talaga. Tsaka if you're around that all the time,
Yeah.
then you will build ideas also.
Yeah.
Oh.
It rubs off on you.
Oo.
Grabe. Parang si ano lang eh. Parang si Jesus lang, no? Yung 12 disciples, lagi niyang
Lagi niya
kasama.
kasama. So
Hindi naman nilagay sa Bible na araw-araw niyang tinuturuan sila or sila mismo yung kausap niya.
Right.
Actually, sa Bible, ang kausap niya puro crowds eh.
Mm.
Tapos nandyan lang sila, nakikinig.
Nakikinig.
And then,
Nadidinig nila lahat, syempre.
yeah. But the church was really, built by the 12 disciples. Sila yung, they went out, they started churches. Galing. It rubs off eh. It rubs off. But have you ever worked with your dad directly?
I think, yeah. When I was starting the business, diba? When it was kind of established a little,
Yeah.
I would start working for the family business also.
So how was that experience? Was it what you dreaded or hindi naman?
Hindi naman, actually. I started with mga business development manager. Parang you go to the clients, you introduce.
Yeah.
Basically that. And then I helped out with the operations also.
Doing that and then having your own company, how was your time management?
Well, back then it was very light because my dad was still there.
Yeah.
But then now, after when he passed away, medyo
Bigat na.
oo.
So, and I don't know this, it's
Yeah.
the first time I'm asking. Are you the next in line to take over the company?
Yeah.
Wow. So how does that feel?
lots of pressure.
Lots of
Yeah,
pressure.
you're thinking about hundreds of employees
Yeah.
who's also dependent on your decisions, di
Yeah.
ba? So you have to make the business continue, di
Yeah.
ba? And
Yeah.
not just that, you have to make it grow also.
Correct.
So I think that's lots of pressure for me.
Yeah.
But then, we have a higher CEO than us that we
Yeah.
will always look to, di ba?
Yeah.
Syempre.
Siya talaga yung papadala
Oh,
sa'yo.
oh,
Tao and clients. Two most important
yeah.
things. So, how were you groomed now
Mm-hmm.
that, because just to give context now, your dad, we did not expect him
Yeah.
naman to suddenly pass.
No, it was very sudden.
Very sudden. How were you groomed to take on this role?
Well, I think for yung mga second generation also, let's say, they will always say na I'm not yet ready,
Right.
no? I'm not yet groomed
Yeah.
to be in this position. But I think there's never a perfect time,
Yeah.
'di ba? The perfect time is now. You just have to start doing it.
You just have to do
Yeah,
it.
you just have to do it.
And then you learn it along the way.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
Kailangan lang onting confidence sa sarili.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, syempre, you have to trust God
Yeah. Yeah.
to give you the wisdom
Yeah.
to make the right decisions.
When your dad passed, how shocking was this transition for you?
When you lose a father, actually, you're not really thinking about the business muna. You're thinking about you're not ready to live life without him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's always there to guide you. Everything,
Yeah.
everything you need to ask, you need to know. You just go to him. I'm very close with my dad.
Mm.
Our bonding sessions would be at 6 in the morning, the front of our house. We would just talk. Yan. So until now, that's what I do. I wake up early in the morning because I don't know for some reason, apart from playing golf,
Yeah.
it's in my body clock already. Na I wake up 5:36. I
Yeah.
go outside. That's my time. That's my quiet time
Yeah.
actually with
Yeah.
God, and that's the time na I would reflect. And then also that's the time since sobrang tahimik,
Yeah.
that's the time I plan for the whole day,
Yeah.
for the whole week.
You mentioned that it was shocking, the transition. And then after some time has passed, I'm sure it dawned on you that you have to transition in your dad's business.
Yeah.
How did it go?
At first, I had no clue. I
Uh-huh.
had no clue how to continue the business
Mm-hmm.
after my dad's time.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi it was mas technical siya compared to the flooring business.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But then with the guidance of the people who were there
Mm-hmm.
in the company for how many years? More than I think this is we celebrate our 20th year, no?
Grabe.
And then we're going 25 years in 2 years time.
Uh-huh.
So with the guidance of them naman din, syempre teamwork,
Mm-hmm.
we're able to move forward.
And your dad was able to have a successor installed.
Yeah,
You mentioned na he's running things
yeah,
now.
he's running things now, and then pero in time he's also retiring na,
Yeah.
and then but then there's another one also who's in line next in line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Galing na na. Like,
yeah,
not a lot of companies are able to do that, to have a successor. Outsider,
yeah,
not blood.
yeah.
And even if the owner, the founder
Mm.
has passed, things keep
Kasi
running.
with us, what we do is we keep this parang family vibe in the office.
Mm-hmm.
We treat our employees as family,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Kaya yung loyalty is there,
Yeah.
you know.
How different was it when your dad did not know God before and he was running the business, and
Well,
then when he
changed
met
a
God?
lot. Changed a lot. The blessings, first of all, the blessings talagang bumuhos, 'di ba?
Talaga?
Oh, and then at the same time, how he was also how he handled the business. I think ako na feel ko rin. I think the employees felt it also. We
Mm-hmm.
would also have Bible studies,
Mm-hmm.
ganyan, and it improved the whole business, the whole organization.
Wow.
Yeah. Which they also passed on to their relatives, their
Yeah.
family members.
Yeah. It was very evident,
Yeah.
the change. But how long into the business was this? Matagal na or early on?
Maybe 10 years after. Yeah, 10
10 years
years.
after.
10 years
So it's
after.
quite some time din pala, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, we're down to our last three questions.
Yeah.
What's your main role in the business today?
Well,
What do you do day to day?
I would say janitor.
Janitor. Doon nagsimula eh.
Tigalinis ng problema. Hindi, tagalinis ng problema. Yeah. But then, I'm more of, kasi meron ng supervisors,
Yeah.
meron ng managers who are in the
Mm.
position.
Mm.
So I think I'm more of the one who's just keeping track of what they're doing, encouraging them, di ba?
Mm.
Thinking of new ideas.
Mhm.
But I'm very hands-on.
Mhm.
I go to the site,
Mhm.
I talk to the clients. Talaga, oo.
So would you say in a span of one working day, which is 8 hours,
Mm.
how long are you in the office? How long are you in the site?
Maybe on a day na we have meetings, I'm in the office probably about 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I go to the site.
Mm-hmm.
I check on the projects namin.
Yeah.
Oh. But then I don't really do that day to day.
Yeah.
Oh. Kasi there are people already who's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still go, I check up on the project, I check up on the quality, I check
Yeah.
up on the people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very important. You talk to them
Yeah.
from the supervisors down to even the helpers.
Right. All of these things that
Mm.
you're doing requires that you keep learning new
Right.
things, keep growing your network. I mean,
Right.
how do you do this growth? Do you read books, listen
Yeah.
to podcasts?
Normally we go to trainings.
Mm-hmm.
Just like our previous training in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
We went to our principal supplier and they would provide us training for the products, the services.
Mm-hmm.
Our partners for our process engineering company also invites us to do these seminars.
Mm-hmm. How do you grow your leadership skills?
Siyempre based mo sa Bible talaga,
Mm-hmm.
'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then second is I keep my dad's teachings,
Mm-hmm.
how he was being a leader,
Mm-hmm.
and then see all the good things there, and then
Mm-hmm.
try to become better.
You're blessed with a dad like that,
Yes.
no?
Oo.
Anything new you're working on right now?
We're starting up with this construction chemicals business.
Uh-huh.
Since we're already talking to the same clients
Yeah.
in the construction industry,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, why not also offer them different construction chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
not just flooring systems.
Right.
Yeah. Also, by this first quarter of the year, we're
Mm-hmm.
planning to set up an office in Cebu.
Wow.
Yeah. And then on the second quarter, we're planning to put up one in Mindanao.
Wow.
Yeah.
Expanding, huh?
Yeah. Oh.
Galing, galing.
Kasi there's lots of clients there that we're not able to tap before.
Right.
But now since SEO hacker, ang daming inquiries eh.
Talaga?
Oo,
Oh,
ang
that's
dami.
good. That's good.
Oo.
That's good.
Yeah. So, it's about time to put up there. Baka kayo
Sales
din.
office. Oh, actually, I'm thinking about it, praying about it.
Oo.
Ito, bro, pwede ka mag-promote. Like, what are the things that you provide and how they can get in touch with you?
Okay. For the flooring business, we concentrate mostly on resin flooring systems,
Mm.
epoxies, polyurethane, MMA.
Mm.
We also do polished concrete floorings.
Mhm.
You can contact us through our website,
Mhm.
www.flooringsolutions.ph.
Mm.
You can email us at inquiry@flooringsolutions.ph.
All right. And you have your Facebook page as well.
Facebook page also,
Flooring Solutions.
Flooring Solutions PH.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you need anything done with flooring, whether you're in the food and beverage or you're in the manufacturing industry, you need help with flooring application, or you need supply, please go to flooringsolutions.ph, get in touch with them. They will help you out. Now, lastly, what is your advice to our audience who might be experiencing a passing of the baton
Mhm.
from the first generation to them, or who are starting out?
Okay, for yung mga second gen, I think you just have to be committed. Because this is a business already that's established.
Mhm.
Not everybody is blessed to have
Mhm.
this opportunity. So
Mhm.
take it as an opportunity.
Mhm.
And then if you wanna put up your own company naman,
Mhm.
I think it all starts with an idea, and then of course prayer.
Yeah.
If it's really God's will for you to be an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
then yeah,
Go
it
for
will
it.
happen. Go for it.
It's a calling, you know.
It's a calling,
Not,
'di ba?
yeah, not every entrepreneur
Mm.
would
Mm.
succeed.
Right.
9 out of 10 businesses
Yeah.
fail. That's fact.
Yeah.
So you have to pray about it. Ro, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank
We
you.
have learned a lot. We are better for
It's
it.
an honor being
Oh.
here,
And until
Kasama.
next time. Next
Ah?
time.
Di ba one time lang to?
Hindi, hindi, hindi. I regret a lot of stuff, but then again, I had to learn it the hard way. There really was no getting around to not knowing these things because I didn't know that I didn't know it. So we have one from Flow, best advice for a tech startup founder. Best advice, always be at the edge of your game. Always be cutting edge. Technology, it's a fast-paced game. If you're not reading, if you're not researching, and you're not experimenting, because you don't take these reading materials, you don't take all of these new things that are rolled out at face value. You have to experiment on your own, inspect what is true so that you know what to expect out of it when you apply it or implement it in your business, either as a new product or service. So you always be at the cutting edge. If you're a tech startup founder, make sure that you are there at the forefront. And if you can be the best in that field, I suggest do your best to be the best because it pays to be number one. If you search for SEO Philippines, SEO Hackers ranking number one or number two, or somewhere up there, it does pay to rank for that keyword because it is a very important keyword in my industry. And if you can do that for your market in an honest way, because SEO Hacker, we did it white hat, we have an all ethical approach. That's why we get to keep our rankings long term. You do it with integrity. If you can get number one and stay number one with integrity, with good conviction, that pays. So if you're a tech startup founder, definitely go for that. Another question, what are the best ways to fund a startup business? From Patrick Miguel. I'm going to be a bit biased here just because I funded it bootstrap. When I say bootstrap, it means I funded it with my savings. And during that time, believe it or not, my savings, 1,300 pesos. I know that there's a lot of hype that says you have to fund it by an investor. Get an angel investor to seed fund your idea. Get a VC to do a Series A, and all of these funding methods for your startup ideas. I don't like the idea kasi of other people kind of dictating to you that you need to have this much returns by this year. And getting investors kasi ganun yun mangyayari. There's no way na hindi yun mangyayari because they want their money back so that they can invest again to other opportunities. So if you get investors to come in, the chances of you being driven by another person in your business is pretty high. It's pretty high. And for me, one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur is because I want to do what I want to do and decide fast in the things that I have to decide on when it comes to my business and how we operate and how we make money. So I would say the best way to fund it from your savings. That's the least amount of risk in terms of your decision making capability. That's also the least amount of risk in the sense of not incurring debt. Kasi kung inutang nyo yun sa bangko or sa friends and family, may interest kayong babayaran. E pag nalugi yun, babayaran nyo pa rin yung interest kahit anong mangyari. Saan nyo na kukunin yung pambabayad nyo? E nalugi nga yung business. So now, you have to sell assets, you have to work a day job and slave for paying the interest. So for me, that's too risky. What I would do na lang is fund it from bootstrap, your own savings. This is from Patrick Miguel. What is the importance of branding for you? Tips on how to establish it. What is your brand? Okay. Branding is important because that is how people perceive you and know you as a company. I remember I talked about this. The most important thing in branding is consistency. You're consistent with what you do, with how you show yourself to the outside world. If you remember Nike and I ask you what's their logo and what's their tagline, madali lang sagutin. It's the check mark and the tagline is just do it. It has been consistent over the years. It's the same. But I'm going to name Adidas though. Now I know that the logo might be the same, but the tagline I don't really remember. You might not remember, but the last tagline I remember that they made that was really good is impossible is nothing. Problem, iba na yung tagline nila ngayon. Yung consistency, wala dun eh. That's what I think branding should be all about. You have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, you will have weak branding. And one of the biggest advantages of branding is if you have good branding, you can demand the price. Honestly, how much should sneakers cost? It should not cost a lot. And yet, Nike sells it for a lot. Ang laki ng patong nila. And they're making a lot of money out of it. They're even listed in the stock exchange in the US. Same with Adidas. Even if they're not that consistent with their tagline, they still have pretty good branding. They're also listed in the US stock exchange, which means they have billions in market cap. And one of their sneakers cost a lot. And that really is just because of branding. Yeah, they have good products, they have good sneakers, but a lot of companies also have good sneakers without that kind of branding. And they're selling for a much cheaper price. Branding is important because you can demand price. Same with SEO Hacker. I think we have pretty good branding, so we demand price. And a lot of our competitors follow our pricing model in our website. That's because of, again, good branding. So it is worth investing in your brand. Be consistent. Another question from Cedric Choa. What are common mistakes or flaws done by someone who aspires to be an entrepreneur? Number one mistake, they do not protect their cash flow. It could be for various reasons, but usually it stems from behavior. You make your first sale and it's big and you think, oh, okay na ako kasi ang laki ng kinita ko ngayon. So what you do with the profit, manlilibre ka, mambo-blow out ka, or you buy the first thing that you wanted for a long time. Instead of investing that money again to the business so that it can grow more, you lost your profits and you are now cash flow neutral or maybe even cash flow negative. Kung umutang ka pa sa negosyo mo, you spent more than the profit you made, then you're going to be eating your own business. You're going to be eating the goose that lays the golden egg, and that's not good. So I think that 9 out of 10 businesses fail not because of the market, not because of the economy, not because of the government or any other external factors. I think 9 out of 10 businesses fail because of behavior. The entrepreneur did not protect his or her cash flow and did not invest in himself or herself, knowing things on how to protect the business and grow the business. Another way that cash flow would not be protected is nagpapautang ka more than you can afford. So when you sell something in your business, my terms usually 30 days, 90 days. If you're retail, yeah, you get the money right away, and that's good. But if you're not retail, usually there's terms. And if you keep on lending money and not collecting, then technically you're cash flow negative. That is one way that you're not protecting cash flow, and that will drive your business to the ground. So I think that is one other common flaw or mistake by new entrepreneurs. We have a question from Jazz. What is the one thing you really regret not knowing before you start your business? A lot, but I regret a lot of stuff. But then again, I had to learn it the hard way. There really was no getting around to not knowing these things because I didn't know that I didn't know it. Ba? Pag di mo alam, hindi mo pala alam yun, there's really no way for you to learn that during that time. I just had to go through a lot of experiences, make a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes helped me to learn the solution to these problems. One of these problems would be my hiring process. I cannot hire the right people.
because I have a problem and I have a gift, and that is I trust people too much. When I trust people too much, I'm the type of entrepreneur who really does not micromanage, and I don't like micromanaging. I just tell you these are your KPIs, this is what I expect. However you want to do it, up to you. And so I trust people to do the work. And when I'm being put in the interview panel, it's difficult for me because people say stuff in the interview process. They say a lot of stuff to get the job and to get a better pay, starting pay. And so when I trust people too much, ang nangyayari, I tend to believe that's the stuff that people say. My intuition for people not really saying the right things or the real things behind their words is weak. I cannot read people, especially interviewees, that well. Plus, there's a bias. Because I need the person already. I need that position to be filled already as an entrepreneur. So there is that bias that kailangan ko na kasi ng hire. Kailangan ko na kasi ng tao dito eh. So, naghanap talaga ako, medyo nagmamadali. The problem with that is if you make the wrong hire, not only will you have even more problems to deal with, na ikaw din mag-aayos. So, same lang, di ba? Sana hindi ka na lang nag-hire ng tao kasi gumawa pa sila ng problema because new hires, they would have to learn the ropes. They would really make mistakes. Ganun talaga eh. Unless you hire a seasoned veteran who's the thought leader or the leading expert or specialist in that field, which is super expensive naman pag ganun yung gagawin mo, the new hire will really make mistakes. The problem is the mistakes should end somewhere because it should be evaluated and taken into experience by the person. If they do not evaluate that mistake, they don't evaluate the experience, ang mangyayari, magiging repeated mistakes siya. Repeated mistakes are really bad because the person will keep on costing you money as the entrepreneur, and then it will also lead to what we call fatal mistakes. Fatal mistakes are mistakes that, when committed, you lose income. In our case, we lose a client or we lose two clients. Lala nun. Kasi, for example, you send the wrong report to the wrong client, tapos they don't like each other pa, this client and that client. Nako, obviously you will lose a client, right? So that's an example of a fatal mistake, sending the wrong report to the wrong client, especially if they don't like each other. You're going to get fired for that. And we don't like that. And repeated mistakes lead to fatal mistakes. So I definitely think that one of the biggest things that I regret not knowing is how to hire properly. Now we have a 6-step hiring process. And of course, it's the pandemic, lockdowns. So what we did, we transitioned the 6-step hiring process to digital. Dati kasi people would go to the office, first interview, second interview, all the way hanggang 6th interview, which is the final interview is me, yours truly. So babalik-balik sila na office, but now it's just digital. We had to figure out how we're going to still be able to get the best people in, meaning people who really want to work and play with SEO Hacker. Not just people who are looking for a 15-30 pay, for a good 15-30 pay and fun. We don't like people like that. We want people talaga na who want to work with us, who put in the research of who we are, who looked into what we're doing as a company, who knows probably who I am and knows that I'm, pretty much everything about me kasi online naman, nandiyan naman yung website ko. People can know what I'm doing. So if the person or the new hire does not know anything about me and yung pangalan ko nasa website naman ng SEO Hacker, nakapaskill naman dun na ako yung CEO and my website is linked from there, if the person doesn't know me, that's already a bad sign that the person may be just looking for a job, a job, which is 15-30 pay. And so we usually don't accept those people. We accept people who really put in the effort because they really want to work and play for SEO Hacker. Any recommended books for entrepreneurship or business from Monster Wings? This question is from Monster Wings. Entrepreneurship, Jim Collins' books is really good. So he has Built to Last, Good to Great. Personally, I really love Good to Great. I also recently published a book on Amazon. It costs $5.19, cheaper than a bowl of ramen, actually. And the title of my book is 50x Your Business. I haven't promoted it heavily yet because I'm still waiting for some things. Pero nasa Amazon na siya, published na siya. Pwede nyo na siyang bilhin at basahin. The title is 50x Your Business because the entire book is all about how I grew SEO Hacker from a one-man team with a capital of 1,300 pesos to what it is now, 10 years fast forward, we're a 50-man team. And the processes that I have, the 6-step hiring process that we have, it's all there. Company culture, how we built our company culture, and all the way hanggang sa in-update ko siya kasi natapos ko siya within the pandemic So there is a chapter there that talks about how to make remote work for you and your team. So I outlined there how we do remote work as well right now and how it works for us and how you can also do that for your own team or your own company. So I know it's I'm a little bit cheating because I recommended my own book, but I wouldn't recommend it if it sucks because I think you would really learn from 50x Your Business. So the book again is 50x Your Business by Shansi. It's in Amazon. We have a question from Rap. What can you say about this? When someone decides to become a very rich person, the poor person inside of him or her has to die. When someone wants to become an entrepreneur, the employee inside of him or her has to die. I don't agree because even if I only had 5 months as an employee working for Hewlett Packard, that experience, I take it with me. It did not die because I learned how to think like an employee and I learned how it is to be an employee. I think if I didn't go through that, I would be a very different entrepreneur right now. I would lead differently, I would delegate differently, manage differently, because I can only see things from one perspective. And that would make me closed minded to a lot of people. So I don't think it has to die. I think that you take it with you and you learn from it. I think all experience is valuable if you evaluate it, diba? And you see it in a good light. I think all experience is valuable. It doesn't have to be thrown out because that's pretty much what the question is trying to say. If it has to die, you throw it out. You can aspire to be a rich person, but you cannot decide, just decide to be a rich person. So I aspired to be also a successful person way back when, but I still remember the times when I would commute from BF Parañaque, where I live and grew up, all the way to Cubao, where my wife lives before. So nung nanliligaw po ako, wala po akong kotse noon. I would take the tricycle, the jeep, the bus, the MRT, and then another jeep, and then walk some ways. So 5 sakay po papunta sa ex-girlfriend ko, asawa ko na siya ngayon. But yun, nagko-commute ako, 5 sakay, tapos pauwi, ganun din, 5 sakay din, and then lakad pa. And usually, syempre, dahil nagde-date pa kami noon, gabing-gabi na ako uwi kasi sayang yung commute ko eh. Pagod mag-commute, 5 sakay eh. So usually ang uwian ko nun mga 11 p.m., 10 p.m. or 12 midnight bago ko uwi. Marami ng snatcher, tsaka marami ng holdupper. So prayer lang talaga, no? You pray. And I dressed very normally during that time. Up until now, actually, when you see me, I dress simply lang, usually t-shirt, shorts, maybe slacks, that's it. And the reason behind that is, I would say I was quite poor before. I wasn't really rich. I would eat skyflakes for lunch and dinner. And I was super thin because skyflakes doesn't have any nutritional value. So I learned to be poor. That part of me hasn't died. I take it with me because I appreciate everything that I have now. And one of the questions in my first Leadership Stack Live was actually, how do you stay motivated? And the answer to that, be grateful, be thankful for what you have a spirit of gratitude. That's how you stay motivated. Motivational speakers, external yan eh. But if you want to stay motivated internally, have a spirit of gratitude, be thankful for where you are, be contented. And I would say the poor Sean inside of me hasn't died. It's because of that poor me that I appreciate where I am now. So definitely do not throw that away. That poor person doesn't have to die because that poor person will shape your perspective, will shape your mind, and will make you a better person holistically. Thank you, guys.
Social media is not an advertising platform. I don't know if you remember, but when you first joined Facebook, you're not there for the ads, tama ba?
Yeah.
You're there for
Mm,
what? You remember?
For
Friends, right?
relationships.
Relationships,
Yeah.
memories,
Yeah.
right?
Pictures.
Things that matter to you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
If that is the way you want to use
Mm.
Facebook, don't you think that's the way other people want to use
Yeah.
Facebook as well?
Yeah.
Then why do we keep distracting them with
Ads.
advertisements? right, guys, we are back in the studio with Miss Casey Marquez, the International Executive Property Officer of SMDC. She deals with real estate. And for today, she's going to have a couple of questions for me. This is, again, a reverse guesting episode. And this is a mentorship session for me with her. So, Casey, thank you for being with us here in the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Sean.
We can
Yeah.
start with how long have you been doing real estate selling, and how
Mm.
long have you been training other people?
Oh, well, for real estate, I'm doing it for 4 years already.
Hmm.
And for training, I've been training brokers abroad for just a year.
So you
And
fly out to them
yes,
in
and
order to,
online as well.
and online by Skype
Online,
or
Skype,
yeah,
video
face
call,
video calls. Got it.
messenger.
How
Yeah.
young are you, Casey?
I'm 25.
25, very young.
Yeah.
So let's move to your first question. What do you have for me?
Okay. First, may I know if what are your views on real estate investing?
Real estate
Yeah,
investing.
for
Oh,
you,
so
Sir Sean.
promotion, huh?
No, I just want to know.
Just kidding. So yeah, real estate is definitely one of the best
Mm,
investments you can have, but it is capital intensive. So this is, again, just my opinion.
mm.
If you're going to go with payment plans for a condo unit or a house and lot, I'm a house and lot type of guy. Condos are not really my thing because after 50 years, we know that it's going to go back to the corporation by right. So I'm more of a land banking kind of guy. If I'm going to be investing in real estate, that's because it has no expiry. The lot, if I buy it, it's going to be mine until I sell it, even if it's going to be 100 years, 80 years, etc. Hopefully, I live to more than 50 years. Para hindi na siya kailangan bumalik sa corporate. No? But definitely buying a house and lot or a building with a lot in it is a better investment for me. And I would, if I had the capital to be able to do that, if I have a multiple streams of revenue and I have the capital to buy a house and lot or a commercial property with a lot, I would and have it rented out because that way I am able to make passive income from the property, and at the same time property prices are rising depending on where you buy. So definitely choose the location, of course, where you're going to buy from. And we all know with the advent of Pogo how much the rent is. It's like
Yeah.
one house that's 300 square meters
Mm.
can fetch you like 200K a month,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it's making more than commercial leasing prices now. And after 5 to 10 years, the lot has also increased in terms of its value. If the house is still in great shape, then the prices will easily double, maybe even more than double. And that is a good return on investment on a year-on-year basis if you are an investor. So there are pros and cons. The cons is, of course, you need a lot of capital to do it because if you're gonna loan from the bank, if you did not get a good rate out of the loan, it's gonna be difficult for you in terms of the interest rate because your investment, instead of making that much more, then you're making that much less if your interest rates are high. In terms of the pros, it's very good because not only do you get dividends out of the rentals, your investment is also growing because of the property value.
How to manage your appointments with people if at the same time you have a lot of things to do, a lot of responsibilities.
The
Yeah.
best way to have more time is to, because you can't make time. You have 24 hours a day. That's how God created time, right? I don't have 1 hour more than you do. You don't have one more hour than I do. So the best way to make more time is to, number one, prioritize. If you go back to the root word of prioritization, because now we have the plural form, priorities. But going back in time, it used to not have any plural form. There's just priority. It's singular because you cannot have multiple priorities. If everything is urgent, then nothing is urgent. If everything is important, then nothing really is important. So you cannot have many priorities. You can only have one, maybe two, and that's it. And the rest of the things that you may need to do or you may want to do, you have to delegate it. I always say, buy other people's time. That's why you have to have a team. For example, here in SEO Hacker, we're a 50-man team. There are so many people here working to help each other out so that we all have more time. If we're less than 50 now and we're serving the same number of clients, guess what? We will all have less time because we will work overtime every day. So how I prioritize the appointments, the meetings, all of the stuff that I need to do is I delegate and I prioritize.
My next question: how will
Sure.
you attract new clients, or what are the most effective advertising techniques? And if you can explain how you use social media to promote
Mhm.
products, properties. Yeah.
With SEO Hacker, how we do it is, of course, we rank number one for the most difficult keyword in the country, which is SEO Philippines. And why it's the most difficult keyword is because all of the SEO companies are trying to fight for that keyword. That's our holy grail. That's the best keyword to have if you're an SEO company. SEO Hacker is ranking number one, and we have other keywords that are similar to that: SEO services, SEO company, SEO agency. Since we rank for it, people find us. Those people are already interested in SEO. That's why they searched it. They go to our site, they fill up the form, they become a lead, and then we get in touch with them, set a meeting, and close the deal. So I don't really advertise, strictly speaking, because we
Mm,
rank for it already
mm,
organically, and that's how we generate most of our revenue. So SEO is a big part of our business. Other things we do is we get a lot of referrals. So we have strategies where we get referrals from clients, friends. I also have very good branding in terms of being an expert in the SEO and digital marketing industry. I've spoken in a lot of events. So there are some people who would just contact me and ask if I can do work for them or consulting for them. And if they like it, then we proceed to sign a contract here with SEO Hacker.
mm,
So there are different channels and funnels of leads that we get our deals from, our sales from. In terms of Facebook advertising, yes, we have actually an ad going on. The name is Honoring Filipino Greats, but it has nothing to do with SEO and selling SEO. It is an advertisement to honor some Filipino founded companies who we're partnered with. They're our clients, we serve them, and we love that they are Filipino founded because we have a lot of companies here, they're foreign founded, and they just went here to penetrate the Filipino market. We celebrate Filipino entrepreneurs, Filipino entrepreneurship. The focus of that ad is not to generate return on investment, it's not to get leads, it's not to get sales. It's just to honor them. And through that honoring, create more awareness. That's it. The problem with advertising is a lot of people, especially small to medium entrepreneurs, think na, no, gagastos na rin ako dito ng malaking pera, dapat makakuha din ako ng leads. Kahit na
mm,
yung gusto nila talaga nung umpisa, branding and awareness. Because advertisement
mm,
is more about branding and awareness. It's rarely about leads and ROI. Rarely. Mahirap sabihin na itong ad na to dapat mag-generate ng ganyan karaming leads, ganyan karaming ROI. At its core and at its essence, advertisement is outbound, meaning you distract people from what they're doing. If you're watching YouTube and you advertise on YouTube, guess what? Within the content that you really want to watch, magkakaroon ng ads. Di mo naman gusto panoorin yung ads eh.
mm,
Pero nandun siya sa gitna and you can skip it. And
mm,
usually what you do is you skip it
mm.
because you're not interested in the ad. You're interested in the content you're
Yeah.
watching. Advertising is usually treated as a big stew. Meaning, gusto ko mag-leads generate siya, mag-ROI siya, gusto ko mag-ganito siya, mag-branding siya, mag-awareness siya. Ang daming mong gusto mangyari dun sa iisang ad na yun. Ang ginagawa mo, you're like a chef who has a ref and you get all of the ingredients, you carry it over the boiling pot and you throw all of the ingredients there, you mix it, and then you feed it to your people. And how it's gonna taste is not so nice because you just got all of the ingredients, you threw it in the stew. But for example, in my case, I know it's for branding and awareness, and that's it. If we get leads from it, it's consequential. Okay? It's a consequential effect. It's a blessing. It's icing on the cake. So my stew has a recipe. I took only the necessary ingredients from the ref and I made really great stew out of it. And I'm happy about the results. A lot of companies, even big companies actually, do it in a way that it's a big stew and it tastes bad in the end. Kasi ang dami nilang goal para dun sa isang advertisement na yun. So, yes, we advertise on Facebook, but not for lead generation. We advertise on
Mm,
Facebook for branding and awareness and honoring our clients,
mm.
deepening the relationship. So, how you
Yeah.
can do it, relating it back to you
Yeah.
as a real estate agent would be you post about, so social media is not an advertising platform. I don't know if you remember, but when you first joined Facebook, you're not there for the ads, tama ba?
Yeah.
You're there for
Mm,
what? You remember?
for yeah.
Friends, right?
Relationships. Yeah.
Relationships,
Yeah.
memories,
Yeah.
right?
Pictures.
Things that matter to you,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
If that is the way you want to use
Mm.
Facebook, don't you think that's the way other people want to use
Yeah.
Facebook as well?
Yeah.
Then why do we keep distracting them with
Ads.
advertisements? It doesn't have to be a Facebook ad for it to be an ad. It could be you advertising what you're selling. And some people really don't want to see that. There may be some people who do, but they're far and few in between. So if you post about stuff that matter to other people, then they start to notice you, then you can sell to them. But
Mm.
first you have to give them value about your
Mm.
expertise. For example, our sit down consulting or mentoring session right now. If this is valuable to you and you go and become the vice president of a certain company
Mm.
and you require SEO, guess who's the first person you will remember?
Yeah.
Exactly.
SE.
So that's
Okay.
how I
Mm.
advise other people to do it,
Mm.
even on Facebook. Provide value first to other people.
Mm.
Post stuff that they will find well meaning and valuable and enriching to their lives. And then you can start a conversation with them about whatever it is that you're peddling.
So you provide value first, then you build relationship,
Yeah.
then from there referrals, and you know what may happen.
Yeah.
With you, Sir Sean, do you prefer working independently or as a part of a group?
Naturally, since I'm an introvert, I prefer working independently. Naturally. That's my
Okay.
natural or instinctive behavior. But I also found out that if I do everything on my own, the effectivity would be small. And I'm not going to be able to grow bigger than that, which is a problem because I don't want to work until I'm old and gray. I want to replicate myself to other people so that they can replicate themselves to other people. And us as a group will be able to produce a lot more. Then can retire earlier. Is retirement important for you?
Yes.
What do you plan to do when you're retired?
I want to enjoy my life with the people I love.
Okay, what does that look like for you?
A rest.
Rest.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to write 100 books
Mm.
when I'm retired. Okay, I'm starting now, but I'm sure I can write a lot more when I'm retired, right? In order for me to write 100 books before I die, I need time.
Mm.
That's why I want to retire earlier. Because
Mm.
if I cannot retire earlier and I'm still working until I'm old and gray, I am never going to be able to write 100 books because I require to work deeply. And deep work, you only have around 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours of deep work per day. It doesn't get any more than that. Deep work
Mm.
is when your creative juices are
Yeah.
flowing and
Yeah.
you're writing very, very well. If you're able to communicate very well through whatever it is that you're writing, be it an article, a white paper, or a book, that is the deepest work you can do. And in order for me to achieve a state of deep work, usually I need an hour of quietness and just me meditating and focusing on the screen and what I'm about to write. After that 1 hour, 3 hours to 4 hours of deep work, bam, I finish the book, right? In a span of 1 or 2 months, I'm done. And then editing happens. In
Mm.
order for me to do it takes time. If I want to be able to achieve that, I cannot work independently, even if I like doing that better. Okay? I need to work with a group, with a team. That's the only way I can achieve my big picture goal in my life, which is the reason why I want to write 100 books is I want to influence a lot of people that there are better ways to do things in our world today than surrendering to the corruption, surrendering to the extortion, to the dirtiness of business and
Mm.
employment. I want to write about these things because that will go on to live beyond my years in this earth.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
writing is very important for me. It is my first passion to
Mm.
write. That's how I have founded SEO Hacker through my first blog, which is a Christian
Mm.
blog,
Yeah.
God and
Mm.
You. And I want to continue doing that.
Right.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Clear
Yeah.
enough?
So you involve people to be with you after you had your time alone as an introvert, then you allow them to see what is in it that you've already come up with, right?
This year, I am able to do that more. But
Mm.
how I'm able to do that is by raising more leaders in the team. I need first to establish the team in terms of their leadership capability, their sacrificial commitment to the
Mm.
company and to each other, their servant leadership, meaning they're serving other people in the
Mm.
team. If that has been established, then I can take a step back and work deeply in my books, and I've just finished my second book.
Mm,
But I finished writing it, haven't finished editing it yet,
mm,
so it's gonna take time before it goes out
mm,
to publishing. But in terms of writing the book, it's done. And
mm,
how I'm able to do that is we have raised more leaders in the team.
mm,
Not enough. We still need more. And one of my projects this year is to do a lot of seminars, at least 10 leadership development seminars internally for our team
mm.
at
Yeah.
workplace. So that's unfortunately not open to the public because that's for the SEO hacker team.
Yeah.
But it's a program that I've developed here. So it's not a workshop, it's just a 1 hour seminar, 10 seminars, and then we have breakout sessions
Mm,
for facilitation. That will increase the number of leaders that we have in the team. Once that has increased, I am able to do more deep work, more editing, and a better overall publication, and that book will go on to outlive me and reach more people than I could ever
yeah.
have in terms of me just doing a one-on-one mentorship, or even me just speaking to a crowd. Because when I have a crowd, it could be from 50 to 100,
Yes.
200, or
Mm,
800 people. That's a lot of people, but my books can reach 10 thousands to the
nice.
millions,
Yeah.
right?
True.
And
Mm,
again, it will outlive me, so I prefer doing deep works, writing and publishing books. That's
yeah.
really my long-term goal.
Yeah. You prefer leaving a being
Legacy.
led. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being legendary. Yeah. Last question, Sir Sean, if
Go ahead.
I okay. So how can I have that security from all the competitors I have, since there are a lot of sellers and developers, knowing that this is my bread and butter? Because earlier you shared to us that there are things that you're sharing to most people and it's fine with you because that's not your bread and butter. But as for me, we have a lot of competitors. So do you think how can I manage that, or
It's
anything you
just
can?
like how I am sharing my talks publicly. The entire talks, you can find it on YouTube or on my website. And I'm not insecure about it at all, even if other speakers do copy it, incorporate it in their content, and it's my material, and they don't give proper sourcing or what do you call that?
Mm,
Proper attribution to
reference.
me,
Yeah.
right? Or reference to
Credits.
me, credits.
Yeah.
That's fine for me because I know at the end of the day, it's not my bread and butter. That's right. But also, they can never deliver it like how I deliver it,
Oh,
right? They can
okay.
never because
Yeah.
they're different people. They
Mm,
cannot copy my way of speaking. I use the Lessig method. So if you check my PowerPoints, one PowerPoint is 150 slides to 300, and that's just for like 1 to 2 hours. So the Lessig method is a very PowerPoint oriented method
mm,
rather than a few slides and they just
yeah.
talk a lot. I
Mm,
don't do it that way. I try to engage everything visually, body language, facial expression, tone of voice. I use
mm,
everything to
yeah.
try and influence their retention, memory retention. They will not be able to do it the way I do because they've been doing it the way they want to do it, and
Mm,
they're not going to change their style just because they found out this new material from
mm,
me. People still get me even if I have a lot of materials published out there. And some of them even want the same exact video
mm,
material to be used live and presented by me
mm,
for their event. So it's amazing how many people will want you because you give away free stuff. For them, if this free stuff is amazing, then the paid stuff must be magical. So they would rather get me for that. Now, how I'm applying that to you is there are certain things that only you can deliver in a certain way. And you have to make that known. You have to
mm,
make it known that ito, ganito yung way ko eh. Maalaga ako or high touch ako in terms of my client, all of my client base. Kung naka-experience na kayo ng broker na hindi na kayo papansinin pagtapos ng benta, hindi ako ganun. And you need to make sure the world knows that. That's what you market out. Because not every broker is the same. In fact, you're all unique. Your styles are all different. How
mm,
you do it will never be the same as how another real estate agent will do
yeah.
it. So you have to
Okay.
market the good differences, the unique selling propositions that you have that only you can do.
I will. I will market what only I can do.
Yeah.
All right.
You have to first
Promise.
identify that.
Mm,
Okay? If you're able to see clearly for yourself, oh, these are some of the things that I really do well. How do I know that? Because most of my clients say, Casey, I really like this about you, blah, blah, blah. You already got some clues from that. Eh. And you should know yourself better in order for you to say na, okay, yung mga ganitong bagay, ito talaga yung kaya kong gawin, masaya akong ginagawa ko to. And na-appreciate ng lahat ng kliyente ko yan.
Yeah.
And then you market yourself that way.
I'm good. Thank you.
All good?
All good.
So,
Very helpful. Thank you.
okay, guys, thanks for
Mm.
tuning in and joining the conversation with us again. This is Casey Marquez. She is a real estate agent for SMDC. If you are interested in any SMDC property, please do get in touch with her. We will leave her contact details in the show notes in the Leadership Stack
Yeah.
podcast website. Thanks, guys, and
Thank
until
you.
next time, keep leading. And we are loyal now to team number one. Team number one is the entire organization, all of us. Not loyal
Mm.
to our own departments, not loyal to just our own couple of people, our direct reports. No, we're loyal to team number one. That's the entire organization. Hey guys, welcome back to the Leadership Stack podcast. We have Miss Jasmine Rivera right here. She is a singer and songwriter, very very young. I'm not going to say her age, and she will soon to be on Spotify as Jazz Rivera. If you are listening to this and we're going to be publishing this after the fact, maybe a couple of weeks from now, perhaps she is already there. She has her solo albums already out and published in her phone, but she has to upload it on Spotify and she has to be registered as an artist on Spotify. So by the time you listen to this, she probably is already there. Please check her out at Jazz Rivera. She will have a couple of questions for me today about our topics, which is leadership, entrepreneurship, and management. So, Jazz, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Now, let's move forward to a couple
Yeah.
of questions that you have for me.
Is it okay while you are still studying, you're applying already what you are learning because you want to start a business little by little? Or do I need to focus first on my study?
To be able to answer that question with more context, applying in what way? You're applying what you're
Marketing
learning
and
in school.
marketing course.
You're applying it where in school?
Mm.
You have an OJT or small project, something like that? Or you have a sideline already?
Sidelines.
Okay, so you're applying what you're learning from school to a side gig. Is that okay, or should you focus in school first?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes.
Okay, whatever you're learning, if you don't apply it, you will forget. This is why studies say that if you graduate from school, you only take around 10% of whatever it is you studied. And guess how many years you studied? We study for like 18 years, some 17, some 16 years, depende. But that's no joke. That's like 16 years of education and you take out 10%. You pay a lot of money, spend a lot of time, right? And then that's all you get. How you increase that 10% is through applying it. How do you apply it? Side hustle? Sure, no problem. Or a side project with your classmates? That's all right. The best way to really remember the things you study in school is to teach it. That's why a lot of the people who are able to get ahead in academics and tutor their classmates, they retain these things longer. So if you want to be able to remember, if you're studying something that's really interesting to you really like it, you believe you'll make a career or business out of it, my suggestion is you apply it through doing projects, side gigs, sure, or you can teach it to people outside of the education environment you're in or to your classmates. So definitely fine. In fact, I would encourage it. That is if you're genuinely passionate about what you're studying and you
Mm.
know that you have a future doing that.
I'll be taking marketing course, by
Mm.
the way, like putting up a business. I mean, starting up a business. Do they have specific subject? Tas pipiliin mo po ganon sa
Yes,
school. I mean,
they have electives,
apo.
not a lot, but if you have electives, I'm sure you will have. you can choose the electives. Otherwise, you have to go through the entire marketing course. If you want to do
Mm.
business, marketing is a facet of business, an important facet of business. But if you really want to study about the holisticness of business, although you will not really get to apply everything, entrepreneurship. But for me, you cannot really just study entrepreneurship. Eh.
Mm.
You have to do it. Eh. You have to
Mm.
have skin in the game. That's what we call it. Meaning, you risk your own money as an entrepreneur. You loan money from the bank, borrow money from your parents, or you put up your own capital and work hard and sacrifice a lot. That's how entrepreneurship is done. What you will be learning in school are theories. Unless you practice, apply it, and risk your own skin in the game, you will not really be able to learn entrepreneurship. Marketing, you can, yes. And you can use it someday if you have your own business. You can use what you learned in marketing in
Mm.
there. I suggest you take some side learnings on top of your schooling. What I always say is do not let your schooling interfere with your education. Hindi porket graduate ka na, yun na yun, tapos ka na mag-aral. In fact, for me, the real studies, the real education starts after you graduate because then you can do what you want to try out. Fail fast and fail forward. My suggestion for you first, take networking or public speaking classes. That will give you more confidence.
Yes.
In terms of dealing with people, talking with them, haggling, negotiating. You know, negotiation is one of the oldest skills that are important for a livelihood and trade. Sales is one of the oldest, most important jobs in history. If you cannot sell something, nothing happens for your business. Henry Ford said, nothing happens until someone sells something. Because you don't just sell to make money. You sell to allow someone to buy into your idea, to make someone do something you like or you want. For example, I had to sell you the idea that we're gonna do a podcast. Otherwise, you and I won't be here. Marvin Germo has to sell me the idea that I could mentor you guys for God and country. Otherwise, we won't be doing this. So nothing happens until someone sells something. In order for you to be able to do business well, you have to be able to sell and negotiate well. If you cannot do that, you will lose in business because it's a tough world. There's competition everywhere. All businesses have competition. Even Google, which is the largest monopoly of our time, they have competition. You have to learn these things. These things are the things that you will not learn in school. They will not teach you negotiation 101, 102, 103, 201, 202. They will not teach that to you. You have to learn it yourself and practice it yourself. But there are seminars and workshops for negotiation. You can learn it there and apply it there and practice it.
So here's my next question, sir. I know po you're an entrepreneur, but what if I don't have a capital fund for starting a business? What you what will you advise me to do first? I mean,
The thing is, a lot of people think that in order for you to start business, you need to have capital. The truth is, you really don't need a lot of capital. I started SEO hacker with 1,300 pesos. That's the truth. Believe it or not, that's what really happened. 500 pesos I used to buy the domain name seo-hacker.com, 800 pesos to buy 1 gigabyte worth of hosting. Built the website by myself, a little help from my brother Kevin. It wasn't much. It looked like crap actually if you want to take a look at the history of SEO hackers design, but that's how we started business. And I didn't have an office. I worked in the attic of my parents' house, and I worked 80-hour work weeks, maybe more sometimes. I had to sacrifice a lot. Movie nights, barkada nights. I don't really like partying or drinking out. I'm a homebody. All of these things culminated into what SEO hacker is today because that set the tone and the momentum for us to be, now a 50-man team. The thing is, a lot of people will tell you you have to have money to make money. I don't completely agree with that because I did have money, but all I had was 1,300 pesos, which you probably have on you right now or sometime this week. It's easy for you to spend that. I spent it on business. What a lot of other people don't have is the knowledge, a wealth of knowledge that you process in your mind through experience and relationship with the Lord, and that turns into wisdom. That's what a lot of people don't have. And for me, that is even more important than starting capital. In the
Yeah.
Bible, it says, wisdom is more precious than silver and
And
gold.
gold. Yeah.
And the reason behind that, and behind King Solomon saying that, in my opinion, is if you have wisdom, you can generate as much silver and gold as you need. But if you don't have wisdom, you will not be able to keep the silver and gold, which you might have inherited from your parents or your grandparents, etc. You don't need capital. What you need is knowledge and wisdom. And you get that through investing in yourself by reading books, listening to podcasts, going to seminars, conferences, getting mentors. And then you gain wisdom by trying things, failing, and learning from the failure and prayer and devotion to God. That's what you need.
How many times did you fail? And what are those failures? What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I failed 28 units in LaSalle as a student. So that's a lot. You ask anyone who is going through college and they will tell you, ayaw nila bumagsak ng ganun karaming beses. Because, who wants to waste that much time and money? And that wasn't even my money, that was my parents' money. But the first time I failed in college was devastating for me because that's the first time I've ever failed in my academics. It was algebra trigo, algtrig in one subject, which was quite difficult. And after I failed, I binged on that. I was not able to get up from that failure. Basically, I went through a series of addictions through computer games, namely Dota. Dami kong barkada nun, dami kong kinat na classes nun. So obviously, I failed. And then when I woke up to realize that I really needed to graduate, and my dad was telling me na, oh, pag ayaw mo na mag-aral, magtrabaho ka na lang. Right? So those realities were coming to me already. I had to just cut every computer game out of my system and focus on my studies and finally graduated. When I started business, though I failed so many times through starting up. The startup phase is your first to fifth year. That's 5 years of masteral degree in entrepreneurship. There's no other way for me. There's no other way you're gonna learn entrepreneurship than to be an entrepreneur and put your own skin in the game. Some of my failures were hiring. I hired some people who were not good,
Mhm.
who I trusted. So I hired a lot of wrong people. And wrong people will make for a wrong team. A wrong team will make for a wrong company. And the people that I hired initially, I failed in the interview process because my strength and weakness as an entrepreneur is I trust too much. If I trust the right people, fantastic, super nice, really good working environment. If I trust the wrong people, it is a very bad, horrible disaster. And since both my strength and my weakness is I trust people too much at the get-go and I hired the wrong people. And it's easy for you to drag people down rather than pull them up. If I ask you to step on a table and I drag you down and you pull me up at the same time, malamang mahahatak ka pababa because of gravity.
Yeah.
It's really easier to pull people down. So a lot of the bad eggs I hired during that time pulled a lot of the people that I hired who were good eggs down. And they did the mass resignation, small mutinies of their own, and all of this venom trickled down to the third generation of hires that we did at SEO Hacker, and it was just a nasty time, which made for a nasty working environment. I wasn't in the office most of the time because I had to go out and sell our services outside so that we can all pay for whatever we want to buy and we can pay for the food that we eat.
Mhm.
We're running a business. I'm paying their salary. Whether they come in the office or not, have to pay their salary. Whether I close a deal or not, I have to pay their salary. Whether I eat or not, I have to pay their salary. And there
Mhm.
were times that I could no longer eat and pay for my own food, but I paid their salary. And yet they would do those things to bring the company down. It just doesn't make sense for me up to today. Why would you want to bring the company that pays you so
Mhm.
that you can eat and you can feed your family? Why would you want it to fail? It just doesn't make sense. But that's what happened. That's one of my biggest failures. The
Mhm.
hiring process, the culture was not guarded because I was not present enough. I didn't hire salespeople because that was the thing that I think I was able to do the most. Here's the reality: you will always be the best salesperson if you founded the company because you founded the company. But the thing is, you should never be the only salesperson and you should never be always in sales because you're out there when your team on the ground here needs you. Your team at home needs you. That's the thing that I'm doing now. Thank God there are people now helping me in sales that I'm able to develop more leaders here internally. And I have a very good team to help me lead our people better. And we are loyal now to team number one. Team number one is the entire organization, all of us. Not loyal to
Mm.
our own departments, not loyal to just our own couple of people, our direct reports. No, we're loyal to team number one. That's the entire organization. So it makes for a much better working environment. And I learned from my failures. You see, when you look back and people look at me now and tell me, "Oh, you're so high up the mountain, you're standing at the summit of your success." And I tell them,
Mm.
"No, I'm not standing in the summit of my success, rather than I'm standing in the summit of my failures." Right? This mountain is a mountain of failures. And a lot of people get buried under it and just quit. But I was able to climb on top of it, pick myself up, climb on top of it until I got to the summit. And still more failures are coming down on me. And I have to have that discipline of just picking myself up and climbing up again. You learn from your failures. You fail fast and you fail forward.
Do you have any principle or structure on how to get people work for you?
One of our principles here is not to major on the minor things. For example, we only had our dress code when we moved here in this building, but when we were in our previous office, you would be able to see people. It's not uncommon for them to be in using slippers or casual shorts, t-shirts. That's fine because we don't major on the minor things. But now that we are in a building and we have a more corporate feel because there's 50 people, 50 professionals now working here, then we asked everyone to wear smart casual. And I've always been wearing smart casual for the longest time. So it was not that hard for them to catch up. Don't major on the minor things. That's one of the principles that we have. Other principles that I have would be Mastery, 10,000 Hours Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It takes 10,000 hours at least to be a master at something. You want to be a master songwriter or singer,
Mm.
vocalist, you have to have 10,000 hours of practice. That's really how to go about it. You want to be a master drummer, pianist, 10,000 hours. If you have, oh, 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, meaning you're consciously trying to collect all of your mistakes. How I'm able to do that with SEO. So 10,000 hours is usually 5 years, right? If you're saying 8 hours a week, 5 days a week, that's 5 years. How I did it in SEO Hackers, I went overdrive. I went 80-hour work weeks, and I would always do consciously and deliberately improve myself in terms of my craft in SEO and in writing and conversion optimization. And so this is a culmination of deliberate practice. That's something that I want my team to also be able to do. And all of these principles, we wrap them up into our core values. So we have grit, unity, respect for work, becoming a challenger. You challenge the status quo, you challenge yourself, you challenge other people, having clarity when you communicate with each other and with the clients, and being able to always try new things in the spirit of having a positive outcome. That's experimentation. So we have 6 core values
Mm.
that are really the culmination and pinnacle of all of these principles that I have. Because at the beginning, it was hard for me to really realize what the important principles were that I want to apply in a company culture. And you only really realize these things as you go and as you hire the right people and put them on the right seat in the bus.
Mm.
Those are the principles that we have. No? Grit
Mm.
is all about being able to stand up again when you fail. It's moving forward, having the resilience and tenacity
Mm.
to move forward. When you make mistakes, use it as opportunities to learn, not reasons to quit. Respect for work is being excellent about your work, is being at work on time, doing work in working hours. Hey,
Mm.
there's an idea, right? So, like, of course, it's working hours. You have to work.
Yeah.
Having unity in the team is very important because it's hard to work with someone that you are not united with. You are actually in conflict with. That's very difficult to
Mm.
do that. You will not be able to do work that matters that way. Being a challenger, challenging the status quo, always trying to grow, that is very important for us. Clarity is all about when I communicate with you and you don't understand it, that will be a
Not work.
disaster
Yeah.
because our output to the client is not going to be good. So, having clarity between teams and individuals is one of our core values.
Mm.
And experimentation is all about trying new things, not
Mm.
being afraid of failing.
Mm.
Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before he was able to finally have a successful light bulb. And that's the kind of attitude we want here in SEO Hacker.
What is your personal brand? How do you think people will see you as CNC?
I have been working at my personal brand for a long time already since I had the Shansi.org website. That is a website, if you look at it from the Wayback Machine, that's archive.org, it looked really bad in the beginning. It looked like my resume, actually. All of my
Mm.
stuff in the resume was there because I really intended for it to be an online resume. You see, when I was starting out as a public speaker, a lot of my inquiries for talks would ask me for a resume, which is weird now because no one does it now. Like
Mm.
companies and schools will not ask for my resume anymore. But before, it really is what they were looking for. So I had it done that way that it looks like an online resume. But if you look at chauncey.org now, it is nothing like a resume. It is about who I am and how I do it. In fact, entire videos of me speaking are uploaded there. My PowerPoints are uploaded there. And the branding that I have is actually tied up with what we're doing right now, which is the Leadership Stack podcast. We talk about entrepreneurship, leadership, and management. And where we publish it is through technology platforms such as Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, etc. And I am best known for SEO Hacker
Mhm.
because it is a business that I started up. A lot of who I am is still tied up with it. I'm a founder CEO, which is, not a lot of people are now founder CEOs in terms of at least here in our country, the Philippines. That is the branding that I have right now. And in order for me to be able to build that, it took a lot of years and consistency. The thing about branding is you have to be consistent. If you are not consistent with it, meaning kalat-kalat, your thoughts are chop suey.
Mhm.
It's a hodgepodge of different things. What will happen is there will be no branding because you are a jack of all trades, and branding is all about identity. What can people identify with when they see you or when they hear your name? So mine is digital entrepreneurship, author, these couple of things, it's not going to reach 10 items. It's just a couple of items that they can associate me with. That is the branding that I have. And why personal branding is important is because I get paid for these things. Nothing else. If they want something else, I would say that's not part of my services. That's not part of my branding. I don't do that. You want my opinion? I'll give you my opinion, but I'm not an expert.